Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Hope I'm audible to all. If someone can confirm if I'm audible clearly to all of you.
Yes, you are, Shweta.
Thank you so much. So let's start. I think we are houseful. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking out precious time from your busy schedule and joining the sessions. Let me introduce myself. My name is Shweta Vichare. I'm associated with Jekson Vision as a product manager, and I look after product enhancement part and related activities. I also come from background of global standards, traceability and serialization, etc. So I think more or less we all are aware about today's topic. We are going to discuss about traceability, which is hot topic of the industry, and in fact it's a need of industry. However, we as a Jackson observe that there are many who are aware about traceability as a subject. Why it is essential to build traceability as a project, or are we even aware about what all infrastructure is required during a traceability as a journey. There are few who are even not aware as to who all stakeholders from a brand or from a company should join this journey, or rather, this traceability project, where to start with and where to ideally end with. So that means I, as a brand and manager, can probably at the end can claim that my supply chain probably is fully traceable at any point in time. So most of the time, though we are aware about traceability theoretically, but when it comes to execution part, we definitely generally face several challenges due to complex supply chains that we have. Also, while having traceability in place, we also have to make sure that our supply chain should be compliant with regulatory compliances if there are any, and also it should be aligned with the global standards, right? So hence we have come up with this subject as a traceability, which probably will help you out to understand how track and trace in depth works. So today on this podium as a speaker, we have Mr. Anirudh, who is having around 30 years plus experience in track and trace, vision inspection, a smart data management, and a factory management, etc. He's experienced leader in product management, skilled in marketing and managing sales operations. Really, we can call him, champion in various segments of FMCG, pharmaceutical, and automotive segments. We also have Mr. Rajan along with us. He is an enterprise architect associated with Jekson Vision for several years and has 16 plus experience in pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical sector. And he's excelling, I think, more than 12 years in brand protection area and traceability as a subject. So before we start with the presentation today, I will request you to be patient with us till the end of the session, as at last we will have a QA session to address all your queries. Moreover, I request you to make this even more interactive. Please come ahead and ask questions if there are any, and this is this question and answer session definitely going to help you out in future to strengthen your supply chain. You can raise your queries, concerns, or questions through the Q&A window that is visible on your screen, and we will try to address those here and here itself. If not, you can write us on email ID, which we will share at the end of the session, and we will be happy to assist you. So moving ahead, please go ahead with, can you just show the agenda slide, please? Yep. So moving ahead, this is our agenda today. It is basically segregated into three parts. We will probably start with the discussion about Jekson, the legacy of the Jekson Vision, our verticals, our teams, our worldwide existence, etc. And slowly and gradually, we will get into traceability as a subject, definition wise, and slowly and gradually, we will delve into depth of it. And of course, last but not least, we will have a QA session. You can put across your queries over there, and we will try and address it over here. Okay, so I have set the agenda. I think we have Mr. Anirudh with us. Over to you, Anirudh. Thank you all for joining. Can you unmute Mr. Anirudh? I think you are on mute.
My apologies. I think that.
So,
So visible?
yes, you're audible and screen is visible.
Perfect, perfect. So thanks, Shweta, and welcome to all the attendees, clients, colleagues. I will brief you about Jekson. Jekson Vision is a company started way back in 2001 by Mr. Rishal Shah, who is CEO and founder member of Jekson. He started this company because of his passion early days of engineering at Penn University in USA. And Rishal, other than being entrepreneur, he's a tech enthusiast, and his passion about Jekson Vision and establishing Jekson Vision can be seen, which gets converted into statistics in this particular column. Jekson proudly serves 95 plus countries. We have 25 plus product lines into vision, into OEE, and traceability, which we will discuss in the subsequent slides and try to check how we can best serve to the CPG and other industries. We have 500 clients globally using Jekson Vision products, and thanks to them for continuously keeping us in business. So we are one of the most preferred vendor across the globe for vision and traceability. So all this said, again, the next figure speaks about our market leadership and market presence. That is 8,500 plus installations of our vision systems and traceability and OE systems installed. And as of now, almost 22 plus years of experience, and I would say also expertise in the field of vision and traceability. So this slide typically speaks about our global footprint. We are headquartered at Ahmedabad, Changodar, where we have our design center, engineering center, state-of-the-art manufacturing, where we conduct FATs of all our clients. Then we have Jekson USA as a subsidiary, Jekson UK, Jekson Italy. In Italy, we are also doing lot of innovation and building AI tech in and around so as to serve the industry in a very advanced manner for the products that they are using for vision and traceability from Jekson. And also we have Jekson Malta as a subsidiary. So you can see the global footprint as it is shown. And additionally, we have in Abhishek Corporate Park, IT team sitting comprising of close to 80 people headed by none other than Mr. Rajan, who will be presenting some part of the presentation today. So there are different terminologies which we come across in day-to-day life when we speak about traceability or product digitalization. Is product traceability, supply chain visibility. Of course, one would like to see the product throughout supply chain, then demand forecasting, production planning, I would say, then raw material tracking, which is a heat wave in the industry because people want to backtest the material. Then product authenticity or authentication. Consumer engagement is gradually taking shape in India also nowadays. Then the typical sales and sales returns and how efficiently we manage if there are sales returns, and quality inspection. So everybody want to inspect the product and create traceability in and around that product. So these are typical 9 terminologies we come across in CPG industries in day-to-day transactions. So when we say there are industries across with varied segments, we definitely have challenges because without challenges, there is no life. So we see the challenges faced by industry because there is lack of end-to-end visibility. So we don't know where the product lies. Demand forecasting, there is mismatch of what one want to produce, what one want to sell, and what the market want to accept. So that's lack of demand forecasting, lack of inventory management, where my goods are lying, no idea about their whereabouts, and then warehouse management about inward and outward tracking, inventory management again, depot management, one can say. Product digitization is also one of the industry challenge because many of the clients are still not going towards digitization of the product, so they rely on partly digitized and partly manual data. MDM, master data management, how much data is needed, how much I am producing, and how much is really required in order to better manage my manufacturing and supply chain, both the ends. Then logistics and transportation, and sustainability and CO2 emissions. So CO2 emission is slowly we are approaching an era where there will be regulation that a manufacturer will not be allowed to export his products, especially in Europe and USA, if his carbon emission is beyond the defined level. So these are main, I would say, 8 to 9 industry challenges that the industry face because of lack of these 8 things not implemented in the plant or even partly implemented in the plant, I would say. So what is traceability? May I please ask a question? Can someone please answer in which country the traceability started first to the audience? You can ping your answer or put in chat box, and I feel uh, Meghna, Shweta, or other team members can take care of it. But I would request some of you or all of you to answer, please. Which country the wave of traceability started first? So with this, are we getting any answer, Shweta or Meghna, or shall I just proceed?
We got to answer Japan, US,
Ah,
Europe.
no, Europe is a very generic answer. Well, okay. Uh, Let me be just very specific in answering. Turkey was the first country. Turkey was the first country to implement traceability, and that happened because of the big fraud into medical claims, mainly medicine claims, I would say. So traceability is ability to follow your product or item, trace its activity, check its application, and where the product is lying currently when you have some recorded identifier, say QR code or a tag or RFID associated with that product. So traceability is all about ability to follow the path of a product throughout its journey from manufacturing till it is consumed by the end user. Then there are two main aspects of traceability. One is by default, one need to identify a product. So you have to have some marking associated with your product and then recording the data of the product. As we all know, data and information are called as currency nowadays. So one need to have marking on the product, can be QR code, GS1128 barcode, or even GS1 Digilink one can have, and then how we utilize the data that gets associated in and around the product. So one is identifying by marking a product, and second is about having data of the product. And then the ability to chronologically interrelate the uniquely identifiable entities in a way that matters. So there has to be chronology, there has to be order when we trace a product, say from ideal in an ideal world, when we say end to end, from raw material till the consumer consumes it. So we need to know where the product exactly lies, what is the status, authentic, fake. So which are the industries which currently using product digitization? Some have advanced and some are partly moving towards full implementation of the product digitization. Of course, FMCG being a big volume game, people are moving to digitization. Then you have seeds, chemicals and minerals, pharmaceuticals, as we all know that is been doing actively in India, as I know well, from 2012 until date. Pharma has a very mature level of track and trace. Let it be for domestic or for export product. Then cosmetic is one of the industry which brings a lot of value because when we look at the cost of the product, at least from Indian point of view, they are quite sizably costly. So cosmetics is using digitization, electronics, as we see the semiconductor wave, and the way India is putting semiconductor plants in India, they are creating semiconductor clusters. So electronics is a industry which is using product digitization. Agrochemicals, of course, there is a mandate from government of India, so agrochemical is also using it. Automobile is using mainly for parts. When you have a car or a bike, when we give it for servicing, then the parts which are replaced against faulty parts need to be genuine, and there has to be identification of those parts that a consumer is assured whatever he is replacing is of certain value and comes with authentication. So these are 8 industries which are using product digitization. So when we say product digitization, the first thing that we need to have is digital fingerprint of the product. So QR is the main, I will say, data carrier, which is widely used nowadays across segments. So you need to have some certain fingerprints. Then insights on product journey. So what is the visibility of the product, where it was lying yesterday, whether manufacturing or whether warehouse, depot, or your distributor, stockist, or retailer or end user. So one need to have insight on the product journey. Then the third thing of product digitization is customer engagement. Now it's not about just customer engagement. I would say it's more about customer experience. So many companies are creating QR code and getting different things associated with that QR code so that the customer is engaged. He has brand recall and he comes again to buy that particular brand. So the product digitization third advantage is it helps us enabling the customer engagement and of course overcoming counterfeits. If your product is, I will say, either value driven or volume driven, it will definitely catch the eyes of counterfeiters and they will try to duplicate that product and sell in the market at much lesser cost. But their packaging will appear as if it's genuine product or manufactured by the same manufacturer. So just I will brief you on the counterfeits that as per my experience, please take it positively. They are much smarter and much ahead than the genuine manufacturers because one of the Italian manufacturer of cap, when they have designed a patented cap, it was duplicated by a counterfeiter in Bihar within 7 working days, and he was selling the same liquor with the same quality of cap. So you can imagine the kind of intelligence that flows in the brain of counterfeiters. So how the industry is doing it when we speak a lot about traceability, product digitization. So people use different barcodes with different properties and their uniqueness can be implemented in variety of ways as how we encode it. But then again, as we say, there are two ways how we do it and the right thing is what is the right way of doing a thing what we are doing. So nowadays if you see even in case of pharma there is a mandate that we use GS1 digilink. So in the subsequent slide I would try to throw some light on what is the QR code as per the requirement of GS1 digital link standard, that is digilink. So you can see here there is certain URL, product path information, some key values, and then you have the URL. So how it is done traditionally, you have 2 or 3 different codes splashing 3 or 4 different data fields. But when you have a GS1 Digilink, GS1 is nothing but a global standard one. It's a non-for-profit organization which are developing and maintaining codes like GLN, SSCC, QR. They are sorry, there are different codes which are developed and maintained by them, and it's a not-for-profit organization. So when you use GS1 Digilink standard, one can definitely say how with the help of a single code, your packaging gets more and more power and it can be used for say GS1 IDs, product information, manufacturer code or any promotion, if any, which one want to float through the loyalty program or loyalty benefit. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of using 4 different codes, GS1 Digilink helps life very easy. And one code can link to the all desired information that a manufacturer want to display to the consumer when he will scan that particular QR code. So how GS1 suggests to implement it? So you can see here 2 columns. One is part and other is value. So you have a static URL, then your global trade identification number, your batch number, serial number, and from a raw point of view of a user, what he would like to see on the package is manufacturing date and expiry date. And he feels comfortable, okay, I'm buying a product which has no nearby touching nearby the expiry date. So But the real thing is to scan a QR code, like it is said here, actual printed pouch sample. So you have human readable information at the right side, as well as a code which you can scan with the help of an Android mobile or say a iOS device. So GTIN without a serial number, for example, or can be called as non-serialized mode. So you can see a static URL here, and you can see a prefix GTIN. Application identifiers are 0, 1, 10, 11, 17. These are numbers by GS1 standard, that is global standard 1. So, and they are defined. 01 is GTIN, 10 is batch number, 11 is manufacturing date. And again, a manufacturer can have a predefined print format, like it is shown here, a format like YYMMDD. So you can have year, month, and date. So 24th April and date is 29th, and same with the expiry date. So what are the cons? The cons are you get only batch level traceability when you do GTIN without a serial number. So with incremental serial number. So you can see the similar format using a GS1 DigiLink standard. We go with the prefix static URL. We go with GTIN. There is batch number. There is serial number, manufacturer, expiry. So you have all the things in similar fashion. But what is the advantage, or I would say, what is the disadvantage of doing it is the uniqueness can be guessed easily, because I know that Mr. Ritesh from Ritesh Pharma is using sequential number, or Rajan Industry is using a sequential serial number. So I will just pick a product, so say a Pond's powder, and then I will say, okay, Ritesh is printing 12251, then 12252, and then I'm good to go in the market by creating duplicate product of Ritesh Industries, and then sell my product. And if you see, no one knows what's inside. People will just say, okay, expiry, manufacturing, everything goes well. And then the reality is hidden, because I'm counterfeiting the products created by Ritesh. So it's not good, basically, because uniqueness can be guessed easily. I know that Ritesh or Rajan both are manufacturing sequential numbers. And then I go to Rajan Industries and they say, okay, he's manufacturing aloe vera gel. And then I know the numbers and I'm good to sell aloe vera gels. Then what is the best way? As I said, there are two ways of doing things. One is the way I want, and one is the right way or the industry standard way. So Jekson serial numbers, or one can say random serial numbers, thanks to our EA head Rajan, nicely designed and developed software over the years, and got, if the software got good evaluation over years, that we generate a serial number which even Rajan cannot tell, because the algorithm is built in such a way that if my serial number as of now is IN785, the next number can be 10ARH, the next number can be 1AIK56. So one can never imagine. That is the way the algorithm works. And it's very important that one should not be able to predict what I am doing. So that's a way to safeguard my product, to save myself from anti-counterfeit product, my company. And when you scan a product, basically you are fully secure. So if tomorrow Ritesh Pharma is producing ponds for Unilever as a co-packer or third party, and then I try to scan it, and oh my goodness, this product is not from Ritesh Pharma, and then nowadays, at least in US, police can come and seize that manufacturer. So using it with Jekson serial numbers, which are random and with a very sturdy algorithm, this is the best way to follow GS1 DigiLink in a very, I would say, professional and contented way. So implementation and results, one can, when there is a QR code or say a barcode, one can easily open in his Android mobile or iOS mobile, scan the QR code, and then he can view the content like this, as you can see on this particular third image of the mobile: QR code, particulars, GTIN, serial number, manufacturing, and expiry date. So one is assured that, okay, when I bought this product, it is a genuine product of Unilever from Ritesh Industries, and thanks to Mr. Ritesh Indalkar for using Jekson software, which is foolproof, and it can easily identify if the product is duplicate. So GS1 traceability, as I mentioned earlier, that GS1 Global Standard 1 is a not-for-profit organization. So there are 3 bars that we will discuss. One you can see in sand color, which is GS1 standard for identification. You have GLN, global location number. So 2 plants of Rajan Industries residing each other, each having unique location number. GTIN, per your product hierarchy, one can have global trade item number. SSCC is a serial shipping container code generally used when your products, like I have 10 pounds packed in a case, or you call shipper, and then I do parent-child relationship, that 10 points is equal to 1 case, and then 1 case, once when it is scanned, one can easily get the parent-child relationship with the help of a serial shipper container code. Then GI is global individual asset identifier. So all the organization need to identify their assets. Then GSRN is global service relation number, GMN is global model number. So when we say that there are certain GS1 standards for identification, how those are visualized when printed, like GS1 128 barcode or ENUPC, which you will see at many places when you go into a super mall or say in a retail shop. Uh, One can easily scan a code, and then when he scans a code here, he will be able to identify, okay, this product has so and so manufacturer, it has traveled so and so journey. So it is really under control when there is technology in place. One does product digitization, and again on the right side you will see QR code, 2D code with certain human readable information. As I say, AI, that is application identifier, GTIN, manufacturing date, expiry date. GS1 composite barcode is like this, gone up vertically. APC high frequency Gen 2 code, and then GS1 Digilink, what we are discussing now. So one can implement, or I would say, with the help of GS1 standards and a very reliable and agile technology provider, one can always use GS1 Digilink standard to foolproof their product, increase their market share, or even to stop the counterfeit of their products, increase authenticity. Then GS1 standards for data exchange. As I said, when we're manufacturing any product, for example, Rajan Industries is manufacturing aloe vera. So when I manufacture this particular aloe vera, there will be 2 things. One is product flow. My product is flowing physically from Pune to Mumbai. It goes to Ritesh warehouse, then it goes to Thomas warehouse. So one is product flow, and second is data flow. So data is all about, it's residing on your say resource kind of a platform, which is a cloud-based software. And when I need to check where is my product now, if somebody scans it. So what we are doing when we are scanning a product or scanning a code, we are trying to get information, as well as in turn sharing the information with the cloud software about the product. So data, as I mentioned earlier, is undoubtedly currency in today's world, and one must need to take care of their data. So GS1 traceability, we have seen 3 main components. What are the standards when one is on the journey of identification? Second is how those looks, and when we try to implement technology or say solution with the help of these GS1 standards, or say even GS1 Digilink, what is the data that comes in picture? So these are the 3 main things. GS1 standard for identification, then barcode EPC, how they look, and then data exchange. Rajan, may I please request you to take over for next 2-3 slides?
Absolutely, Anirudh. Thank you very much for setting up that context. And before I, moved in, I would really like to welcome all the audiences who have, set up their precious time to be with us to understand how we could assist you to implement the right way. So as we know now how to implement that from the, the simplest, or I would say the best way perspective, how we, means the Jekson Vision, could assist you to implement that on, your infrastructure. As you're looking on the screen, right, we would be able to offer you solutions from the production shop floor itself, which is the production line. We call it as a level 2 from the ANSYS architecture perspective. We have more than 25 different software solutions, including the hardware specifications, which allows you to meet your, the production needs. It might be a manual lines, it might be semi-automatic or the fully automatic. you can, assist and reach out to us. We would be happy to support you with all the sort of printing, inspection, and the aggregation solutions which meets your day-to-day process. When you look at from Infa's perspective, we also need a system which is robust enough to manage your plant level serializations. So Retrack is our site level system, which manages all of your master data. It manages your production lines. It ensures all the user profiles are secured. It is a completely electronic reports, generated system. So the data exchange with the production shop floor as well as the outside world is seamless. As you're looking on, the architecture perspective, if you are looking at the multiple geographical location as a manufacturing operations, right, we have a centralized system that works as a corporate level. Resource is the application name. There's the heart of the entire traceability. What it does, it connects with all the manufacturing shop floors systems. It correlates the data in form of giving the serial numbers, giving the barcode content. It takes out those data from the respective manufacturing plant, what has been printed, where that consignment is going into a supply chain partners. It also has the capability to communicate with the manufacturing unit, just in case if there are no Jekson Vision system working. It has a robust API as well, which is allowing you to communicate with your corporate ERPs for taking the master data, for taking the transaction data and giving the information back the way you want to implement from process perspective. And last but not the least, you want to give that finest experience to your consumers, right? So you can choose the different loyalty programs. We have a very customized systems we have given to lots of customers, and that will give you a pleasant smile on your customers when they start using this infrastructure. With that being said, we have a full-fledged solution in-house developed by Jekson Vision, approved globally, working in the industries globally, and you're fully covered from production line to the end users. Now, if you look at from traceability's perspective, how does the data flow occur, right? So if you're looking on the downside line, there are different locations you can visualize from manufacturing perspective, your centralized warehouses, maybe your other supply chain partners, you call it distributors, wholesalers, right? Each and every locations would produce the data, what this data contains. This data contains the ownership. Ownership in the sense, how many batches, what are the packs, what are the shippers you are sending to respective partners, right? Whether that partner received those physical packs, yes or no. So all of those informations, we call it as a chain of custody, will be electronically recorded and saved, centralized into our cloud solution, that is resource. So basically the resource is the system which links all the keys to connect your supply chain, all those dots. It records the ownership of the data transfer, which is against the physical. And why we are doing that, with doing that, you would be able to find out where the data are, what information is going to the respective partners, and that will give you just few clicks to identify if any furious product introduced into a supply chain, because you can secure your manufacturing locations or probably your warehouses, but you probably would not be a privilege to control your distributors or a wholesaler, because that is something out of your the ownership. And last but not the least, when you want to give traceabilities to the end user from verification perspective, you don't need any infra as such. It has a robust API. Just use the smartphone, look into the QR code, and that's it. The end user will get the complete traceability information. Now, probably in the future, the government may come up with their centralized portal, which is there implemented for other regulatory industries, right? The resource level 4 already have inbuilt mechanism, which has a ready-made API available. So you're also secured just in case government comes up with any central portal within India or across the globe where you would like to upload your information to. So this basically slide speaks about the complete traceabilities when the data flow. Next slide, please. And how do you visualize the information? This is we just try to bifurcate. Say for instance, manufacturer, I have produced 10,000 pack and I'm sending to the different warehouses. Warehouse 1, 6,000 pack, warehouse 2, 1,000, warehouse 3, 300. And they're also subsequently sending it to the other supply chain partners. So by just selecting the respective locations, you could see what is my current stock lying into respective warehouses. How many packs or the sellable packs in form of shippers are probably pallet I have sent to the distributor, and when I did send it to. And you can, connect n number of supply chain partners. For an example, here we have given distributors, wholesaler, retailers, but there might be different, the supply chain partners into an history, and everything can be visualized with just the simple dashboard. But this is not the end, gentlemen. If you also want to implement a traceabilities from the raw material perspective, so for instance, where you're taking your raw material from which the partners. If you want to start implementing the traceabilities from that point onwards, we also do have respective modules which you can leverage so that from traceability standpoint, starting from raw material to the finished good, right? Complete histories you can visualize. You can have a an on-site, and then if you want, you can also share it with your consumers when you want to. Next slide, Anirudh, please. So what is the step-by process, right? Of course, you need to print those unique IDs on the production shop floor. So you need the industrial printers, the vision inspection system, and probably the automation for a rejection within the manufacturing unit. Those informations, when it goes physically outside from your manufacturing locations, right? You need to connect all of your supply chain partners, right? So distributor, wholesaler, retailer, probably the store as well, and what those partner has to use, or do they have to invest anything? No. With using the resource as a platform, they just need an internet connectivity. Any smartphone they can use a camera and take and invert transactions. You can also set up the user credentials so that the defined user access rights can be controlled. And then that's how the entire system would work in order to assist you to implement the traceabilities. Next slide, please, Anirudh. And how we do it. So this is what, the answer to all the questions. Centralized application, resource, being there on the cloud, that will connect all your dots, communicate with the industries, not just the manufacturing, but all the supply chain partners, which, falls into a logistic. It also gives a vast, open API so that the consumer engagement can be easy. And if in the future the compliance reporting comes, it has an opportunity to push the data to the compliance reporting as well. So what we do, we simplifies the connectivity, as simple as that. Next slide, please. And this is just to give you an idea how the production shop floor line look like, just for an example, right? From the primary packaging onwards, let's say there are different set of equipments implemented, supplied by Jekson or supplied by any vendor across the globe. We do have a full-fledged solutions which we can offer, which will be retrofitted on your existing equipments, or we can offer you the equipments which is there standalone to implement the track and trace in form of serializations. We will build the complete aggregations, and at the last stage, we will gear up all the informations, save it centrally at the site level, and from there we will broadcast to the cloud level application to manage all the relationships. So that's how the whole solution works. Anirudh, you may start from here. These are the advantages of the solutions.
Sure,
Thank you.
I will just respect the watch and try to serve through fast. So when we spoke about GS1 Digital Standard, traceability implementation, advantages and challenges, and so when one implement the technology, what is the advantage? Like one can leverage on the serialized data for integration of inventory management. What is your inward, what is your outward, and what is your stock inventory? So this example typically shows say Zebra or Honeywell handheld device, they call it HHS, and one can scan a code, and then he, by hitting a certain URL, he will be able to understand, or based on say a web-based software, about the complete product details. So warehouse and depot management is one of the advantage. The next advantage is product visibility in supply chain. Like uh, it is important to know where my product lies, in what quantity it is lying. So product visibility in supply chain or throughout supply chain is one of the important advantage when one do product digitization or implement a traceability solution at its full scale. So demand forecasting is nothing but what I'm producing, what lies in market, how much can get sold in market, that is the acceptability of my product based on variety of criterias. And then if I am at deficit, like as I mentioned, like a product of Ritesh Industries ponds gets sold very heavily in area called Kandivali, so I need to have a geo focus and supply more and more ponds which are getting sold very rapidly into the market. So one can always with the help of right technology implemented inside the plant, one can do a proper production or say manufacturing planning and balance the demand forecasting. This is one of the advantage. And like as Rajan already explained, resource. So one need to have a comprehensive global tracking software. Like you can have multiple plants within India connected to one cloud software. Say Jekson provides a very diversified portfolio software called Resource, and this software can connect to different ports and has enormous advantages. So one can enable anti-counterfeit measure by having a I would say efficient data carrier with it. One can check the authentication of the product, and traceability is like given when we use a product or say data carrier along with the product. So tackling supply chain challenges, one of the burning point that all the industries are facing nowadays, that one can always having a proper technology in place, one can streamline or deactivate a challenge product with an easy and efficient one-click solution. So we spoke about GS1 digitalizing standard where it can get connected to cloud software and tell not only geolocation authenticity, it can check the product coming from which plant, what is the manufacturing expiry batch number. So you can get many things at just one click. So this is how one can address or tackle the supply chain challenge. One of the key topic, product recall. Uh, Here I will just stay at least for 1 minute and try to share real life story that happened with me. Uh, One of a Swiss chocolate company here, let's say Indalkar Chocolates. Uh, I got a call 2 in the morning and I thought, who is trying? Then the quality guy called me, Anirudh, I have a problem. Yesterday night, a rubber wall in my batch, in my manufacturing line got heated, it got mold, and now we have rubber shreds all over the chocolates. And then, as there is no digitization, there is no traceability, they took around, if I'm not wrong, 3 days to identify all the products where they are lying. There was a lot of chaos, there were a lot of heated discussions, a lot of debates, and then they gathered all the products together. They tested it on an X-ray, like I was there for not less than 36 hours. Each and every chocolate was tested and with a stringent quality standard as per Swiss standard. And then we could release only, as I remember, out of the 3 trucks, we could release only 5% of the product. So product recall, it just seems to be a word, but when one experiences that you need to do product recall, you must have a very robust and agile product digitization and traceability solution inside your plant so that you are ready for any future challenge that may come or may not come. But when it comes, as an industry in 21st century, CPG industry, I would say specifically, should be ready with these kind of solutions in their plant. Then, as I mentioned, fake product, or even Rajan also discussed this. So one can enhance the product authenticity. We can make sure that there are no fake products. Like as I mentioned earlier, that if Ritesh Industries is manufacturing and having a code on it, then life gets easy. If I'm trying to manufacture and he's doing with random serialized codes, then I'm nowhere close. I'm my product, 2 points, one by Ritesh, one by me. Mine is definitely going to go out because when a GS1 digilink standard will hit the URL, it will tell only ponds manufactured by Ritesh Industries is the authentic one. So you can always control the fake products. And as I mentioned earlier, what will attract counterfeiters is either you are producing in volume or either your product has very high value, cosmetics, watches, diamond rings. So you can imagine different things here. Of course, brand protection and enhancement, that when the brand has a better visibility and best technology in place, the user feels more confident as he scans the code, then he knows it's authentic, from which manufacturing plant it has come, what is the expiry, what is the manufacturing date. So in and around everything related to brand will always boost the confidence. And customer loyalty programs, like uh, as I mentioned in the first third slide, that customer loyalty is mainly about how you empower your consumer to stay on in and around your product and encourage him in buying your product. So the first thing that we all need to create is awareness about the product. Then we need to engage the customer that, okay, Mr. X, please scan the code. And then we need to keep on engaging and making it as a standard practice for all the end user or our esteemed consumer that, gentlemen, please scan the code. So, and you can build different customer loyalty programs like Ritesh Industries in Diwali can float a scheme. If a guy in Pune scans this code, can get 5 rupees immediately. So we have an API program, as Rajan mentioned. Then when I scan the code, I get a SMS. Mr. Aniruddha, you have scanned the code in Hadassar, Pune, and Ritesh Industries is happy that you bought our product. You will get X amount of rupees as cashback reward on your account in next 1 day or in next 7 hours or something like this. So one can build different loyalty programs in and around based on the type of industry you work with and based on the interest of the end user. So one of the most important thing that people generally nowadays, as it is discussed in case of CO2 emission, as I worked on different projects for sustainability, ESG, SDG, like we call it, is science-based goal and all. So people are tending to hide data because they feel if I'm emitting carbon more than the standard that is defined by the EU, UGMP and all, so then I will be seen with black goggle. I will not be seen as a white collar businessman. So as it is said statistically, 81% of shoppers says it's extremely important that they have greater transparency in their product. And one of a recent survey in US, it was published 3 days back, probably Saturday or somewhere, that 3% of the consumer trust me that they are ready to pay more when there is more transparency. Like, as I'm repeatedly saying, if I scan a product from Ritesh Industries, a Ponds powder, and then he gives me complete data manufactured in Kandivali and what are the ingredients, what is the manufacturing date, what is the batch number, what is the lot number, manufacturing, what is the expiry date. So Ritesh Industries is following the practice of transparency. So he's bound to get more closer. He is bound to have a better brand recall, enhancement of his brand. Again, I would say also brand protection by having product digitization. So there are multiple things that comes in picture, and every manufacturer will be seen with a lot of, I would say, bright eyes that, okay, this is the company I can rely on. I can use a product for my babies, my wife, myself. So it's very important that transparency is a game changer in the coming time. So we all need to, I would request all the industry to have good practices, implement product digitization, product traceability, and work with a player who is, really agile into his solutions. So questions, any please? Shweta?
So there is one question, Anirudh, for us is that even with GS1 format, the web link can be copied, is the question. And the random code will only limit the number of codes copied by counterfeiter, is the question raised.
Rajan.
Yes, Nikhil, I think it's very much possible that industry can copy, or I would say the counterfeiter can copy the printed barcodes. In order to secure the supply chain, if you feel that that is what the critical area your product lies into, you can think of a non-clonable QR codes, right? That will have an additional infrastructure and the security layers so that when somebody or the systems will try to identify or decode the QR codes, it will give you a visibility that whether these are the barcodes printed, generated onto your facilities, or that has been generated by some other facilities. How you can do it? You can have an additional infrastructure and the technology. Of course, that's the additional cost you would have to bear to implement those, the non-clonable digital links, because that leads to special links that leads to an algorithm which ensure that the barcodes are decoded. It's there in the industries. Please feel free to reach out with us, and then of course we'll be able to assist you. That's how it goes. Hope I answered your question, Nikhil.
Yes, I think I'll encourage all of you. Please come ahead and ask questions if there are any.
Uh, Nikhil is saying that would not be an option for an open code scanner. Yes, probably the open industry scanners were programmed to decode, a normal barcode trace. Those scanners might not would work because what we are looking at is we are looking at a technology which ensures no duplicate copies there in the market, right? And what we are saying that in order to stop it, right, we would add an additional security layer which ensures even the copy would not be possible at some means. So yes, the normal scanners would not be able to decode in the sense you can absolutely decode the informations and see what is printed inside, whether it's a counterfeited or it's the product manufactured at your end. Well, there are multiple copies, right? The scanners would not be able to identify. But with our infrastructure, with the resource application, we would be able to give you an insight precisely that, hey, whether these are the codes printed within your facility or outside the facilities. But those scanners can be absolutely used to see and verify the content by the end users.
And Rajan, another way of looking at it could be that I scan upon some Ritesh Industries and I would like to check SMS authentication via SMS. That is it manufactured by him or not? And that is the best way I
Correct.
would say to stop and counterfeiters, not anti-counterfeiters, isn't it?
Correct. I think we have one more question.
One more question. Yes. How can transparency in supply chain help me, as in the brand, in fighting counterfeit? Is the question for us.
Would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, could you just repeat it for me? How
So
supply?
the
How?
question is how transparency, how transparency can be obtained throughout the supply chain in order to avoid counterfeits or fighting counterfeits, ideally.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. I feel Europe is already moving towards it, and one of the things which I did not explicitly mention is raw material traceability. Like when we have end-to-end traceability, we track it from raw material. Like we are working on a project where when the raw material once received, they are received through authentic sources, and every raw material is associated with a QR code. Then when those product goes into manufacturing, then there is certain code associated with it. So for example, I am manufacturing, say, a cold drink. So I'm taking powder from some manufacturer. I'm taking concentrate from some manufacturer. So there are 8 to 10 on the curve, different raw materials, which I do coding. Then when it goes to mixing stage, then there is certain recipe management that is done. And at each and every stage, it passes the authentication or recipe tolerance module. And I have a finished product, say Ritesh Cola, for example, just sorry to take Ritesh name again and again. I have a product called Ritesh Cola. And when you scan the code, when it goes into market, then you can, upon request, I would again use that upon request, have the complete product journey that it was the powder was bought from Rajan Industries. The concentrate 25 liter was bought by Thomas Industries, and the soda was bought from Shiva Industries. And then the mixing stages, and when it was manufactured, printed, what is the batch number, what is the lot number. So there are two things to it. Scanning only a code is one aspect of authenticity, and your question speak ask more about transparency. That's what I would say. When you go on to deeper, that as it gets a consumer driven market, we should be ready for more and more questions from the user. And as they say, like see what is not seen, listen what is not said, and do what is not done. So transparency is all about getting equipped for future. So when you have all the steps with product digitization, you are ready to tackle and handle any market challenge. And coming back to one more question, like if you have a product which is manufactured by a counterfeiter, you can easily tackle that because he is not prepared to the level of depth that a manufacturer with end-to-end supply chain is prepared. Anything
Yeah,
further if you ask,
thanks.
please. Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
yes. Thank you, Anirudh. So there's one more question for us is to just a second. It's basically how can we know who are the counterfeiters or where are the counterfeiter products are? That's the
Okay,
question.
we spoke about GS1 Digilink and customer loyalty program. So the best thing, I use three words if you remember. One is awareness, second is encouragement, and third is engagement. So these are the three keywords when it comes to identify a product. We say authenticity, not just brand protection, say authenticity. So if I'm manufacturing a duplicate ponds from Rajan Industry, Ritesh Industries, and he's not scanning his, none of his product gets scanned, my life is easy. Because today, if not today, tomorrow I'll be more richer than Ritesh because I have nothing inside. I have nothing inside. And the problem is that we do not create awareness first that, okay, my product is in market, please go and scan it. So first is awareness that we must make the audience aware. The second beautiful thing that I have seen personally in US market and I remember maybe Milan or Bologna, I've seen it that they send the company marketing guys with what they call as inspector, that I will go into a supermarket and I will just randomly pick and scan the product, like this is the product, I will scan with Android. And that is how you create awareness, that then immediately the next guy say, standing to you, Rajan feels, sorry, Anirudh is scanning something, what is doing? Then I'll say, Mr. Rajan, please check if the product is authentic. So we have to encourage and educate people that they must scan the product. If first of all, if there is no product digitization, if there is no traceability, you can trust me, never catch any counterfeiter. These guys are going to be more richer and richer.
True
Now
that.
what happens? Sorry, I will just continue. So now what
Okay.
happens when a guy is caught? As of now, Europe and US has regulatory practices in place that they get very severe sentence. उनको अच्छी खासी sizable सजा मिलती है. Some are being charged with a fine that even their next 10 generations, if they will not be able to pay back that. So this is to create threat in society that it's not easy to manufacture duplicate products, and like it's a cakewalk for you that you manufacture, take $10 billion and go out to the market. It's not at all easy. So it's bound by regulation. And the first thing I would say is create awareness, engage your audience, educate them, send your marketing team as inspector into super shop, and let the buyer understand that he need to scan the code.
Thank you. Thank you, Anirudh. There's one more question with regards to QR code. QR codes on all product is not possible where product size is small. Wherever there is a size constraint, is there any other alternative for it? Or also, can't this QR code be copied from one bottle to another? Or also we can put QR code, but how we can ensure that they scan the product? So how do you do the enforcement for the people to scan your product?
Rajan, you would like to take, or I shall take it? How it is?
Yeah, there are three different questions. You start with one, and I'll take the remaining two.
Okay. The first,
Out.
sorry, the
Go ahead,
first
please.
thing is
Size. If the product size is
exactly the
very
size.
small.
So we must be aware. I would request you, gentlemen, that when we manufacture a product and say it is half a size, it is very small product. But as a manufacturer, we must be aware that my formula of manufacturing aloe vera is unique, and Rajan or Shweta should not duplicate the product. So I need to find a place even for a small size of 5 by 5 QR code, and I must start using authentication. Otherwise, you know what happens? Like I'm saying, मेरे घर में like say 17 kg चांदी है, सिल्वर है, मैं दरवाजा खुला रखूंगा, बट राजन यू नीड टू मेक श्योर कि कोई चोरी नहीं करेगा मेरे घर में. सो फर्स्ट मीजर इज टू हैव टेक्नोलॉजी इन प्लेस. एंड one thing which was missing in the FMCG terminology, which I realize of late, that your packaging team need to be aligned with the organization goal, because traceability is going to catch a very big boom in next 3 years, because all of us will be questioned. Even Jekson will be questioned that you are using a lot of wood into your packaging. So please define your CO2 emissions. And everything will get calculated, back calculated, what kind of product I'm manufacturing, and entire data is on your QR code. So traceability is going to catch big fire in the coming time. Over to you, Rajan, please.
Right. The second question in the similar thread is, can these QR codes be copied from one bottle to another bottle? Yes, absolutely. If the counterfeiter would like to copy those codes, yes, they can create lots of duplicate copies. But what would happen, as this information is centrally available at your fingertips, right? When somebody tries to verify, right, and of course, that's what, all the people started using it. They always verify the SKUs before they buy it. They buy the product before they buy it. And the system will start sending you those alerts that, hey, this product and that particular CL number has been manufactured, but started getting scanned from the multiple geographical location. And when that happened, the software will give you a complete chain of histories that, okay, you manufactured into location A, that went to the supply chain partner 123, and now it is lying on the store 3, right? And still it has been scanned from the different locations. It likes to be a furious product. And that's how, using the system and the infra, you can take the corrective actions by cross-checking those supply chain partners that, hey, we have supplied you only this batch with this CL numbers. Where did you get the other CL numbers from? Or from which particular partner you receive those numbers from? So at least that will give you an idea who is doing the counterfeit or trying to add the furious product into the supply chain. And the last but not the least, how can we ensure the people scan the QR code? The loyalty program is, the biggest answer. You would have to give those loyalties. Even if you see the market, the 10 rupees a water bottle, you will see a tiny QR code. And when you scan it, right, 30% of that particular manufacturing batch, the manufacturer is giving 2 rupees per product to the consumers. So when you give certain loyalties to the consumers in form of some cashback or probably some form of the loyalty programs, the consumer, trust me, are going to scan those products, and then that's going to be the necessity to you have this entire things working. So that's how you can implement that into the supply chain to make your ecosystem robust.
Okay, and we have a right comment in chat that the supply chain helps in finding cross-border sales wrong location, and if it is assigned for a different location, it can erase alarm supply chain. So that's the good point. One more.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very true, especially
I think
when, sorry.
just to add there, sorry guys, just to add there, let's say you manufacture a product that is meant to be sold in respective geolocations, right? The infrastructure and the technology which we are talking here, on every scan, we capture the geolocations. And let's say if the product is meant to be sold in Maharashtra, but somebody is scanning into Bihar, right? On the first scan itself, the system will give you those alerts that, hey, this is supposed to be from the Maharashtra only, right? You can set up those rules after even manufacturing. And if any scanning appears outside Maharashtra, that will give you all those alerts that, hey, this is likely to be the counterfeit, and it should not be in the other state. So that's a very much important where you implement and connect all the supply chain partners from traceability's perspective transparently, and the infra will give you all those details.
Yeah, just last point, Rajan. Thanks for this.
Yes, please.
Yeah. A typical example of this could be a liquor supply chain. Like if you see a
Yes.
beer bottle or a wine bottle, it is said for sale in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and not Gujarat, for sale in Maharashtra, Punjab, and say Rajasthan. So I have to geotag my case and pallet consignment in such a way that if it gets scanned into Gujarat, then it's an offense, and then the entire I would say owners throughout the supply chain are answerable or questionable. One can say that how this product, which was supposed to be seen either in Maharashtra, Punjab, or Rajasthan, is lying in Gujarat. So then it really gets when the geolocation is identified as other than the different. So there is an internal query or SMS or email that is received by the manufacturer or the supply chain head that, okay, this particular bottle lot was supposed to be in either in Maharashtra, Punjab, or Rajasthan, but unfortunately it is say in Chhattisgarh or Gujarat, something like this. Thanks.
Any more questions? Anyone of you? Okay. Yeah, I think we are good to go now. So thank you all for joining this event. Thank you, Rajan, Anirudh, for taking us through the journey of traceability, how it looked like, and what all things are involved into traceability. Last but not least, in chat you will see our email ID where we are reachable. So please note down the email ID. We are happy to assist you there. Do drop us an email in case if you have any queries with regards to implementation and execution of traceability. Thank you all for joining and good day. Take care.
Thank you.